All right, so we're here at entry 5. This is Wednesday, February 26, 1964, and this is one page long. What are we looking at here?
Well, one of the items that this reflects discussions with Norman Redlich about the interrogation of James Martin. Martin was the business manager for Marina Oswald at this time, and he was being called to be questioned about his relationship with Marina Oswald, and also for any information he might have relevant to the investigation by the commission. What was of concern on a personal level was that the FBI became aware that the businessman, Mr. Martin, was perhaps taking advantage of Marina Oswald and had a sexual relationship with her, and the question was whether he should be interrogated with respect to this matter. And the Chief Justice, when presented with this issue, said absolutely not. We don't need to examine his or her character in that manner. And that was a cause for some dissension among the staff, because most everyone felt, as I did, that the character of Maria Oswald was of some significance to our investigation for the reasons that I've outlined earlier. I had no strong feeling in this case about embarrassing everyone along this line. But some people felt that there's another example of the commission not proceeding aggressively in an interrogation of its witnesses. The only other thing in this entry is the fact that I refer to Mr. Schaffer. Charlie Schaffer was a Department of Justice Criminal Division lawyer who had come over to assist me and to, in particular, look at whether there was any early evidence of Teamster involvement in the assassination. In particular, he was looking for any reports of any contacts whatsoever that might be found involving the Teamsters Union, because, of course, this was of not principal, but of interest to the Attorney General and others. He found no such relationships, and really spent very little time at the commission. When he was there, however, I took advantage of his expertise as a former prosecutor to help review some of the investigative requests that were coming to me, particularly from the Ruby area, where Bert Griffin and Leon Hubert had established a pretty close working relationship, and they were very anxious in enlarging the investigation. They felt early on that the Ruby investigation had been subordinated in comparison with the Oswald investigation, and so they were producing a large number of investigative requests, and I wanted Charlie Schaffer to take a look at those and help me decide whether we should proceed to send them on to the FBI, or whether we should seek to modify them slightly so as to improve their likelihood of being received favorably by the FBI. So he helped in that regard. And that's basically the extent here. There are some personal matters involved, but those are the principal issues of importance to the Commission.
Was it thought that if there was some Teamster connection to the assassination, that the link would be Jack Ruby?
Well, there was a thought of that, but I wouldn't say necessarily Ruby, although Ruby, of course, had a criminal record and some associations in Chicago, which were on the agenda to be fully explored by the Hubert-Griffin duo in Area 5. And indeed, that was one of their most difficult tasks, and it was self-defined in a way, was to document every contact or action Ruby had in the preceding 60 days to the assassination. Mm-hmm. So they not only went into his history in Chicago, and his brother was under investigation by the Internal Revenue Service for tax violations. There was an extensive amount of information that had to be compiled and analyzed, and I think that throughout the journal entry, going really late into the day, there were still investigative requests coming from Area 5, and it was sort of a routine. They would come in, I would be offended, and we would sit down and negotiate, and eventually they'd get all their requests processed in an orderly way.
Yeah. Just a quick follow-up on the Jim Martin situation. Do you think that it was the Chief Justice's desire to try to keep that out of any record that might become public to avoid exposing this out of sensitivity for Marina Oswald?
Yes, I think that captures it exactly. I think that's what he wanted. I mean, he was maybe just generally offended, but I think keeping it out of the record, I think, was important to him for that reason, which obviously deserves some respect.
That issue has become sort of common knowledge now with all the many assassination books that are out there, but I don't think it's necessarily changed anyone's opinion or perspective of Marina Oswald in these many years.